is going on, guys? Tonight is Monday Bully Live, 7 p.m. Let me bring my guy from the back, Mr. Gary Pope. What is going on, man?
What's going on, sir? How you feeling?
I'm doing good, man. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm good.
I'm getting a little blowback on your mic, man. Just letting you know if you have a fan or something next to it,
No,
make sure.
my finger might put a thing.
Okay. Real quick, though, Hollywood, real quick, man. Let me hear the call on Division Kennels LLC, man. They just became a member.
Pues claro que sí, cabrón.
There you go, man. And also for King Angelino. Let me have it.
Pues claro que sí, cabrón.
Pues claro que sí, cabrón. We do this every Monday now at 7 p.m. ever since we made the change. And definitely, man, love seeing all these people back here. We got Drippy on board. He was here since 6. We have people waiting out here since 6 p.m., man. Nothing but love, man. Jet ski ready to go. Happy Veterans Day to all you that served. I'm going to mute you, Gary, in between because I keep getting that sound, man. Hold on a second. There you go. Real quick, man, I want to thank all veterans, man, past, present, and those that signed up and are waiting to go to boot camp. What can I tell you, man? It is both an honor and a privilege to be part of that great sorority, if you want to call it. And definitely want to shout out to all my veterans out there, man. Nothing but love to every single one of you, man. RGB saying, thank you so much, RGB. Thank you so much, Adam Fields. Nothing but love, man. Happy Veterans Day, fam. You got it. Ronnie F. Man, everybody's feeling patriotic today, man. Good evening, fellas. MBK, nothing but love, man. Rican Blues. Happy Veterans Day. You got it. Mike Higginson, what's going on, Ro? And my guy in the back. Hey, how about my guy to the left, man? What's up? I know, man. I know. He didn't mean nothing by it. Kahiki's saying, what's up, man? Shaka to you all the way in Hawaii. We got Freddie Stravia. We got Ghost Kennels in the house. Rican Blues says, how's your kibble experiment? We're going to talk about that today, man. Freddie Stravia, yes. Thank you. Thanks to all veterans. You got it, man. You got it, man. Sacrifice everything. Nothing but love, man. But today, real quick, let me just say, my two twins, right? Mike Green and Donald Gaines are not going to be able to make it tonight. They have, or in particular, Mike Green had some serious technical issues, man. Serious technical issues. So it's all good. Gary Pope is going to hold it down, and we're going to have an excellent conversation. Gary, let me ask you something, man. Let's kick this off by me asking you, how important in your order of priorities in your kennel do you value nutrition, the diet, what you're feeding your dogs?
It's one of the number one things. Without that, you know what I mean? Without the nutrition, you're going to have multiple problems. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's one of my number one things. I do feed kibble, but I use, I feed like sardines, blueberry, honey. I use a bunch of supplements with my kibble.
Okay, fair enough. Let me ask you this. Sorry, I didn't have my mic ready. Thanks, Kyle, for letting me know, man. Hold on. There you go. Trying to get it out the way. There you go. So anyways, what type of issues would you run into that you're talking about as far as nutrition? And have you ever ran into them feeding maybe a different type of kibble?
Yeah, I used to feed Victor. So
another one.
And so I think a couple times it might have messed up the, I'm not going to say the puppy count per se, but could have just messed up the female in general, her not being, you know what I'm saying, having enough nutrients, everything in her to produce litter properly and everything like that. So the puppy count was low at times when it came to, and some they didn't take at all a couple times, possibly because of it.
You know, it's funny you say that. Those that follow me know that I used to support Victor. In fact, somebody wrote to me saying, what happened, man? You used to support Victor. All of a sudden, this, that. Well, guys, we evolve, right? We evolve. I'm sure that Gary Pope was feeding kibble happily, merrily, going along until one day, all of a sudden, his females, I don't know, heat cycle, maybe puppy count, whatever, started to get affected. When it did, you could already tell by the way Gary's talking, he made a conscious decision to go a different direction. We're going to get into that. In my case, the same thing happened. I actually had a female named Latessa. She was the alpha female in my yard. And for 2.5 years, I couldn't get her pregnant, man. I mean, we would breed her to dogs in the yard. At the time, my boy Power, since he's passed away. But, man, when I tell you in one particular cycle, she would go into heat and out of heat within a total of about 5 days, and she would bleed. And then, I started testing her numbers, her progesterone, and her numbers were literally spike at crazy speed, then come back down and spike again, a typical split heat. So my point is, guys, nobody here is the sole owner of the truth. They're the sole owners of their truth, right? And that's what we share on this platform is our journey with you. 4 years ago, if you would have asked me, what do you feed your dog? I would have told you Victor. When you ask me now, no, we feed raw. We don't feed Victor. Why? Because this happens since trying to get at. Real quick, Michael Higginson is Victor has had so many recalls over the years for things that have killed a lot of dogs and messed with fertility. Now, I gotta, you know what, Gary, I'm going to go ahead and unmute your mic, guys. If you can tolerate me keeping his mic unmuted, give me a thumbs up. If you want it muted, give me a thumbs down. But I can't have him, muted here the whole time. I can't hear you.
I was like, what's the noise that you're talking about? Like I do have a fan on in the basement. I keep a 20-inch box fan on with a filter, with a 20-inch by 20-inch filter on it, just to keep the air like a cheap.
When we get off the live, I want you to play the first 5 or 10 minutes or so and hear what's coming through. Yeah. That's the only way I can explain it.
So if you give me 2 seconds, I'll run on there and turn it off real quick. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, let's try it. Let's give it a shot. He'll be right back. G-Line says, just curved a Victor coupon on my last feed run. Well, for those of you that are following us online, MBK saying Victor messed my females up. So look, I'm not, guys, I don't have scientific evidence to say that Victor did that. All I can say is once I took the female off of Victor and put her on raw, all of a sudden I started getting results. That's all I can say. So if you did use kibble, what would you use? We're going to talk about that, Jeremy. Let me get into it. Half a die to my people out there in the middle of the Pacific, man. Infamous, none but love, man. Mariana's representing. Any experience with Value Pack? I haven't tried Value Pack. Maybe I should, because I've had quite a few of you hitting me up saying to try it out. Street Rossi says, if you're looking to pack on muscle on your dog, what is the best diet for them? We're gonna hit up on this, man. Let's see. Jair Graham, what's going on? Let me bring Gary Pope back on. There you go.
Is it better?
Yeah, it is better.
All right.
It is better. I still hear a little something, but it's better. So let me ask you this, Gary. So which kibble are you currently feeding your dog, and what results have you been able to see ever since you've been feeding that particular kibble?
Actually, right now I'm using Kirkland brand, the Costco food. Yep.
Okay.
And I use salmon. Yeah. I mix salmon and beef together. Like I use like 2 bags of salmon with 1 bag of beef, and yeah.
Okay. And what's the price on that? On say a 40-pound bag?
I think it come in 35, and it's like, I think it's like 35.
$35. Okay. Okay. Is there anything in particular you found that type of food does for your dogs?
I say the last female that I did breed, I had you know what I'm saying, this female was spiteful, and I had my litter with torment prior to that with this food, and I mean both was, you know what I'm saying, successful or whatever, but I can see just it just seems like the coast might be a little bit shinier. I mean, it is because it's a salmon, and I mean, but I was adding stuff to Victor too, but I don't know. It does seem a little overall better. Like their poop's a little more solid and stuff like that. I mean, Victor would give it that black dark poop, but this poop
Right.
has, like, you know what I'm saying, more almost like raw. I ain't gonna say raw color. The raw poop looks a little crazy sometimes. But no, well, I just said the ones that I haven't seen. You know what I'm saying? Look a little. This looks different. You know what I mean? Not crazy, but different. Yeah.
Okay. Is it as compact as, say, Victor, or is it more like pasty?
It's more compact. I mean, it's just as compact, but just the color isn't as dark. Like Victor, like they poop black at times.
Okay. Okay. The reason I ask is because if you notice, Good Brothers Kennels wrote Raul has a 30-day experiment going with kibble. We currently started doing a 30-day experiment, and I decided to go ahead and use Diamond Naturals, right? And look, somebody just asked, Stay Fresh Bullies, does anyone use Diamond Naturals? We're about to talk to I also use the Victor Pacific Salmon green, big old green bag. And I'm also continuing to use Wholesomes, right? I can tell you, if you guys have ever seen our videos of our kennels, we have pea gravel in each particular kennel. So when the dogs step, it helps them strengthen their pasterns and whatnot. I could tell you guys, I had to discontinue one of the food brands, and that was the food brand that I had to discontinue was Diamond Naturals. The poop is as pasty and as all over the place as I've ever seen a kibble. I don't know if it's my dogs that this is how they react to it, but I could tell you, I tried Diamond Naturals about 8 years ago. I tried it again about 5 years ago. It just doesn't work. And to make matters worse, when you have pea gravel like I do, and you get pasty poop, that's just not a good combination, if you know where I'm coming from. So I went ahead and just did away with Diamond Naturals. And I decided to substitute it at that time with Victor Pacific Salmon. Okay, that's the one that we're going with. It's a little bit more on their higher end, but I wanted to go ahead and not hurt my dogs. And what I mean by that is, I started out with a purple bag, the lavender bag, purple bag, and immediately I had pups showing allergies. Not all of my pups, but I would say 3 of them started showing allergies. So immediately, and I did say it on the video, if there's anything that's detrimental to my dogs, I'm stopping it immediately, right? Like there's no way I'm going to keep feeding it. So I went ahead and stopped it, and I substituted it with the Victor Salmon. And I can tell you on the Victor Salmon, typical Victor, the poop is nice and tight. It's dark, like Gary's saying. But I did notice something else immediately in my dogs, man. Immediately. And that is they started growing at a very rapid rate. The ones that are eating the Victor Salmon. Okay. I'm talking about a very rapid rate. Like, When I do the video of the conclusion of the testing, you guys are going to compare the dogs and you're going to be like, wow, this is night and day. Because I feel that that's what kibble is made for, and that's what kibble does, is just fattens up your dog, and not just fatten up. It does add muscle. I got to give them their flowers. It does add muscle. I could tell you Sunshine is looking, wow. If she champed out in 2 shows in a weekend, I don't know. She might have just champed out on the first show, because the way she's looking like right now is looking better than she did when I dropped her off a month ago. Now, mind you, this is all for a reason, right? This is all for a reason. I purposefully turn off the growth signals in my dogs. And the way I do that is by feeding rice, which is a carbohydrate. And what that does is once it hits the blood, the growth hormone and insulin cannot be together in blood at the same time. So once the insulin is out, then the growth hormone comes in. Once the insulin comes in, growth hormone goes out. So long story short, it's funny because I was having a conversation with my handler, Devin, and we were talking this weekend, and she said, when you took Sunshine, I felt that she was a bit bigger than when you first brought her to me. And I couldn't agree more with her. Yes, she was a bit bigger, but then again, she was on kibble when she got there, and not necessarily on raw. And not just raw. I feed them raw and I restrict it a little bit. And we're about to get into barf and raw, so just give me a minute, guys. But I restrict it a little bit on purpose because I don't want to promulgate flaws. If you get a 6-month, 7-month-old pup and you overfeed it, those bones, they're still shifting, guys. They haven't sealed. They're not going to start sealing until 18 months. In reality, until between 20 and 22 months, that's maybe even a little more, 24 months. That's when you're going to get a good seal. So you don't want to be making your dog overweight before that. My point is, the amount of weight that my dogs have put on Victor Pacific Salmon, the big old green bag goes for $68. Easily in a matter of 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, they've put on anywhere between, I want to say 10 to 12% of body weight. That is major, especially in such a short amount of time. I don't know what was going on with that Victor purple bag, but pups started showing allergies all over the place. So I had to kind of reconstitute the groups, because the initial way I was doing it is I was putting a brother on one particular feed and a sister on a different feed. What ended up happening is when the sister had an allergic reaction, for example, it threw the whole thing off. So now what I did is I paired all brothers and sisters together, and I'm feeding them all the same thing. And allergies have gone out the window immediately. Now, I'm not just feeding the Victor Pacific. Victor Pacific is only being fed to Sunshine and her brother Patron. Okay. Now, the other two, I'm feeding my boy Blueberry and his sister Pinky. And I know, I wasn't going to make them part of the test, but they were already being transitioned into wholesomes, right? So I put them on wholesomes, not just any wholesomes. I put them on whitefish, right? Wholesomes, and they're doing just fine. And then I have Tatanka, and I have Oreo, and I have Spunky, and I went ahead and put them on. We have wholesomes. We have I'm sorry, guys. I'm not too big on kibble anymore. So I got them on wholesomes. I got them on Victor Pacific, and this last group, I went ahead and we got them on. What is it that I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting a bit of a blank here. It's the Tractor Supply 4Health. Here we go. 4Health. So yeah, 4Health. And you are not going to believe what I'm about to say. I am this close to discontinuing 4Health. I'm going to give it one more day. The reason for it is I'm getting the same pasty poop I was getting with Diamond Naturals. Now, I figured it was because, okay, well, I'm making the switch and whatnot. Everybody else switched just fine into their kibble, but for some reason with 4Health, I'm getting pasty poop again. So I was thinking to myself, okay, so do I add probiotics? But if I add probiotics to that one, I'm going to have to add it to all the other ones. So I'm kind of debating as to whether I should just make it into two groups: Wholesomes versus Pacific Salmon, Victor Pacific Salmon. If tomorrow morning I wake up and the poop is pasty, that's what's going to end up happening. We're just going to divvy them up into two groups like that, because man, that pasty poop and that pea gravel,
Just don't make.
bruh, it is not a good combination. I will tell you that right now. Inserata's saying, I use Diamond Naturals large breed puppy lamb, but I add salmon oil and meat or fish to it plus Nuvet. Okay, let's talk about that. Gary, you were saying you used Victor before and that you would supplement it with something. Are you still supplementing whatever kibble you're feeding with something in particular?
Yeah, I use sardines. I get the sardines with the water instead of the oil.
Okay.
Raw honey, blueberries. I use this stuff called Ultimate, made by Dog's Arms,
Uh-huh.
and Dog's Arms makes a bunch of like they got
probiotics.
Yeah, guesstimate and different stuff like your females and stuff. So I use all of those. Also, I mean, I use Oxymom. This was the first time I actually used Oxymom was on this litter.
Really? Okay. And she's producing milk at a good rate.
Yeah,
I would think Oxymama. Yeah, I've always recommended Oxymama for after birth. I can tell you this, man, and let me know, Gary, if this has happened to you. And guys, if you're watching me live, go ahead and drop your comments. Bro, the amount of poop also that I was seeing with Diamond Naturals, it's as if though Diamond Naturals sucked water. All this water, that's what made it pasty. And the amount of poop that was coming out of the pups that were eating the Diamond Naturals was unreal. It's like you fed them a cup and 2 cups came out, dude. I don't mean to hate on Diamond Naturals. I'm neither here nor there with it. I'm just, sharing my experience. And it hasn't been a good ride, man. I'll be perfectly honest with you. And I don't know. Did you notice? Have you noticed that your dog's on kibble? Have you ever fed raw before, Gary?
I did for a little bit, but I had 2 of my females end up like breaking out, and I didn't figure out exactly what it was because the raw that I was using was like almost like a pre-made raw, like it came in a tube, but it'd have like all different type tripe and all type carrots, and I mean it was all type of it, but the base was chicken and the other one was beef. And I didn't, figure out exactly which one it was that did it because I would like give them chicken one day, give them beef the next day. And so on breakout, so I just stopped feeding them altogether.
Wow. Okay. Well, I can tell you, man, I've fed raw now for a good amount of time, for the better half of the last year and a half. The amount of poop that you get when you're feeding raw is so much less.
Yeah, I did know.
In comparison to whenever you're feeding kibble. Like I said, it seems like the water gets sucked out of it. The one thing about raw is the majority of what's being fed is water. So it's almost like the inverse, if you will. One of the things that I'm against whenever I'm feeding raw, for example, is feeding liver, whether it's cow liver. You're supposed to feed secreting organs. But when it comes to the liver, whether it's cow liver or chicken liver, I don't feed it. Do you feed cow liver or chicken liver to your dogs, Gary?
No, I never tried it.
You never tried it?
No, I heard of people that do it, but I never tried it myself.
Wow. Is there a particular reason as to why you wouldn't feed them that, or you haven't tried it up to this point?
I mean, it's just, I know, you know what I'm saying, I just prefer to stick to what I know, kind of with the kibble and everything. I'm just nervous of breakouts and stuff. I mean, I had breakouts with the Victor a lot of times. So I'm just trying to stay away from all the breakouts, the skin allergies and stuff like that, because I got a lot of blue dogs.
It makes a lot of sense, bro, because you know, all the stuff, all the crap they're putting into chicken or cows for them to grow faster, for them to resist disease, whatever it may be. This ends up going into your dogs, guys. And you know, dogs, you know, 98% of their DNA is wolf DNA, and the wolves in the wild eat as close to purity as one can imagine. Now, mind you, if there's a power plant in some isolated island somewhere and there happens to be a wolf there, he's going to be eating some radiated rabbits, right? But aside from these isolated incidents, right, they're eating, you know, as close to just natural food as there is. You turn around, you start feeding these chickens these growth hormones, and then you start feeding that stuff to your dogs. Guess what's going to end up happening, right? Your dog's going to start growing fast. It's going to start growing with speed. In fact, you don't even have to be feeding that liver to see that. When I tell you guys that all of my dogs, in a matter of 15, 16, 17 days, have gained an additional 10 or 12% body weight. And I'm talking about the muscles are starting to come in. It makes me start to wonder how much of the crap of that growth crap they're actually putting into kibble as well. It just makes me wonder, because think about it, man. These companies, they're not there to I mean, they are there to make food for your dogs, but when it comes down to it, they're also there to make a profit. And a bully that's not muscled up is not going to make a profit for them, right? I don't care what breed it is that's not muscled up. It's probably not going to make a profit for them. So it leads you to kind of question, would it be possible that they're, I don't know, putting something in there to make the dogs pop the way they did? I was talking to Mike Green about a week ago, and I was like, Mike, you ain't going to believe it, bro. The boy I got from you, Tatanka, this dude, I don't know what you did, bro, but this dude is, he's just popping. And it hadn't dawned on me on that point. The following day or two, when I start looking at all the dogs, I was like, oh, okay. It can't be a coincidence. You know, it's a growth spurt when it's one dog, maybe two, but when every single dog is adding 10 to 12% of their body weight, it's not a coincidence at that point.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it made me start to wonder what kind of stuff are they putting in there. Furman Broom is saying, what's good, my Q fam? He says, I just feed my dog ground beef with chicken gizzards, sweet potatoes, dry oats, parsley, oregano just for today. And then I mix that with Diamond Puppy on all my dogs. Well, Furman, bro, it looks like you're balancing them out pretty well, man. I would definitely recommend, Furman, however, to go ahead and add Nuvet and NuJoint if you're going to be feeding kibble like that. But also, man, good luck with Diamond, bro. I'm off ever probably trying Diamond again, as long as I have pea gravel in my in my kennels. It's just, when I tell you, I was scraping up more pea gravel than I was poop, because it was just, it was not good, man. Pasty poop, it's just not good. Lorenzo's saying, what is the price difference between buying a kibble bag individually versus the pallet? Gary, you ever bought a pallet, man?
No.
Okay.
I go to Costco and just load up nowadays. But the
That's
good
it, right?
is like if you read the ingredients on it, it's the whatever if you get lamb, the first ingredient is lamb in it. It's not like lamb meal and all that stuff.
Right.
It's gonna be straight salmon. So that was the one thing that kind of got me. Then I know a bulldog breeder, uh, Felix. You might have heard of Felix Guzman. He handled. I think he has the #1 and the #2 bulldog in ABKC right now.
Right.
Well, 2024. But that's what he feeds his dogs, and I know a bunch of UKC people that feed their dogs that. So I got the information from them, and I just tried it myself because I done tried Wholesome, I done tried the Diamond, I tried everything at the Victor, and this is the only one. This is the one that I settled
Well,
with.
well, tell you what I'm gonna do, man. If I wake up tomorrow, and that 4Health is pasty again, I'm gonna mosey on down. You said to Costco, right?
Yeah.
What's the name of the brand?
That's the only dog food they sell is their Kirkland brand.
Kirkland blend. Okay, excellent. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to mosey on down to Costco, Kirkland brand. I'll go ahead and get salmon because I have two dogs on Wholesome Whitefish, the other two Pacific Salmon Victor, and then they'll be on Kirkland Salmon, and then we're going to compare.
Try it out.
Because that pasty poop, bro, on them pebbles, on them pea gravel, no.
Yeah.
Not happening, man. We got Sinette Saul in the building. Rice slows growth. Yes, G-Line. Let me talk to you here for a second. So let me explain something to you. The IGF-1 insulin. It's actually insulin-like hormone. But I'll leave that for interpretation. Either way, what ends up happening is that growth hormone, or that mammalian growth hormone, does not or is not able to be in the blood at the same time as insulin. Okay. So how do you then slow a dog's growth? Well, you lower protein, because what triggers the growth hormone is protein and fat. These two things will trigger the dog to grow, especially when they're pups, right? And so what you do is you reduce the protein, you reduce the fat content, you increase the carbohydrate. Carbohydrate becomes sugar once it hits the blood. Once sugar hits the blood, the body recognizes it and insulin is released. Insulin, once it hits the blood, makes that growth hormone, pretty much pushes it to the back. So no, guys, I don't only feed rice. I make reference to rice because rice is a simple sugar. And simple sugars, they will spike the blood fast, but they will also leave pretty quickly. So there's something called a complex carbohydrate. An example of a complex carbohydrate are beans, right? But the reason that I don't necessarily give beans to my dogs is because if you give beans for long periods of times, I have read studies that beans can actually cause cardiomyopathy, dilated cardiomyopathy, DCM. And so to sidestep that, what I give my dogs, which is a complex carbohydrate, which keeps the blood sugar high for longer periods of time, is oatmeal. So I give the rice, so I bring down the protein content. So let's give you an example. Say I was going to feed one of my dogs a cup about, say, this big, right? What I would do is I will go ahead and reduce the amount of protein with rice, right? So I could bring that protein down. Raul, why would you want to bring the protein down, dude? I mean, isn't protein what dogs should be eating naturally, et cetera, et cetera? Here's the deal. In our breed, you got to realize we have a man-made breed. We have a designer breed. All man-made breeds are designer breeds. But in our breed in particular, we have a companion breed that people like taking to the show. What happens with medium-sized breeds and large breeds is that when they grow too fast, their soft tissue, which is their tendons, ligaments, what have you, cartilage, do not grow fast enough, right? to be able to accommodate for the bone, for the speed in which the bone is growing. So let me give you an example here. I'm trying to grab a marker. So what ends up happening is when that bone grows too fast, the ends of it, right, creates more torque the longer the bone is. This is basic physics, guys. The longer this marker is, the more torque you're going to have at either end. If the soft tissue, which is the ligaments, the tendons, and the cartilage, they get a very minimal blood supply, right? They're not prioritized like, say, your liver, your heart, your brain, so on and so forth. They get very little blood supply. What ends up happening is they can't sustain the growth, the fast growth of the bone. And that's where you start getting the east-west. That's where you can even, to a certain extent, promulgate hip dysplasia through the diet. You overfeed a pup whose soft tissue cannot sustain the structure. What's going to end up happening is that ball and socket, you're going to have issues. Not only that, you got to realize that when puppies are growing, their bones can shift, especially if they're overweight. Their bones will shift. And you may be getting two pups from two parents that are not east-west. You may end up with a dog that's east-west, and you never wanted it that way, right? You never meant to do that in the first place. But by the time you learn and you figure out that you've overfed the dog, you then realize that you caused what we call here dietary east-west. It's dietary because either you overfed your dog, or here's the other kicker, you did not supplement your dog, because you got to realize that kibble must be cooked in order to be able to sustain shelf life. The moisture needs to be taken out of there, so you got to cook it at over 340 degrees. Well, at 170 degrees, all the vitamins begin to degenerate. It's almost like, when you grab an egg and you crack it, right? The egg white is actually transparent. Well, when you cook it, it becomes white. Well, you just denatured that protein. That protein will never go back to being transparent. I don't care what you do. This is why I've had a couple of people write to me, because I guess there's a YouTuber out there that's telling people to feed their dogs boiled eggs, and there's nothing wrong with that. Boiled eggs are good for dogs. However, if you were to ask me what is better, raw egg or boiled, I'm always going to say raw, because when you feed the boiled egg, that protein has been denatured. The vitamins have been denatured to a certain extent, to a certain percentage. So if you're looking for a benefit from one or the other, I would say raw will give you a slight, uptick as far as benefits is concerned compared to boiled. What do you think about that, Gary? Do you have any experience with raw eggs and boiled eggs?
Oh yeah, I put raw eggs on their food. Probably I say like every other day. I drop a raw egg on everybody's food, and they like it. They actually they tear it up even more half the time with the egg on there. They go jump right on it, and I even put the inside of the egg out of that little skin part, and I'll drop that in there too.
But did you say you're feeding them boiled eggs or raw eggs?
Raw. I just crack a raw egg right on top of their kibble.
Oh, okay, yeah. Raw eggs, raw egg. For me, it's a win-win, because not just are they getting the egg, they're also going to be getting the eggshell. You just need to crush it really well. But the eggshell is also, it's a little bit more natural calcium that they have there that they could break down and use it if needed.
Yep. And my dogs, I still get my dogs like goat milk weekly too for calcium.
Okay, that's a good one. Goat milk, definitely. I only do goat milk when they're pups. Whenever we're doing mush, I don't. So you're giving goat milk to your adults? Is that right?
Yep.
And what have you? Is there a dog that you don't? Is there any dog that you don't? And if so, what main difference are you able to get from it?
I usually feed everybody pretty much the same thing, unless I find out that something is making somebody break out or something. But for the most part, right now with the with the Kirkland brand, I mean, I'm not really having too many issues, to tell you the truth. So yeah, I mean, everybody get the same exact thing.
Okay, good deal. Drippy's asking, how many times am I feeding the pups? I feed them twice a day. But mind you guys, I'm feeding them twice a day for a particular purpose. So you guys have heard the term anabolic, right? Anabolic steroids, right? Big whoop that was happening in the 90s and whatnot. Anabolic simply means the body is using the building blocks, these proteins, amino acids, whatever, to build, right? To build muscle. Whether you like it or not, at all times, your body's switching from building to, which is anabolic, to catabolic, which is breaking down. So, say you were to fast for, I don't know, 14 hours. At some point during that fast, your body's going to switch to a catabolic state. And it's going to start eating away at your muscles in order to convert it to sugar. Now, your body's not very efficient at doing that. So it really sucks because even though your body's doing that, you're going to feel like you're dragging and you have low energy. The reason I'm saying all this is because dogs, per se, also go through anabolic and catabolic stages, as do all mammals, right? And so what you're feeding the dog and the time or the times of the day that you're feeding the dogs has a lot to do with it. So the last I read, man, is that when dogs go past 8 hours of not eating, they go into their anabolic state. So let's just say, for intents and purposes, you have an 8 to 5 job, right? 8 to 5 job, and you don't get home, say, till 6. So you feed your dogs at 8 in the morning before you, let's just say 7:50. So let's round it to 8 in the morning before you head out to work. And then you don't get back home till 6. Well, that's a total of 10 hours that your dogs have not eaten. And supposedly somewhere around 4 o'clock, between 4 and 6, their body's going to go into catabolic state, which is the breakdown of the muscles, right? So how do you prevent that? Or is there a way that you can prevent it? There is a way to prevent it. Actually, there's more than one way to prevent it. So the one way that I counter it is, if I say I had an adult dog that's going in the ring or whatever, and I wanted to build them up, I would then feed them twice a day, and I would make sure that I don't go past 8 hours between feedings. So if I feed you at 8 in the morning, I know that your next feeding is by 4 o'clock, right? If I go over by half hour, it's not the end of the world, guys, but that's what I'm shooting for. But let's say your job, like I said, is from 8 in the morning till 5 in the evening, and you can't get home till 6. Is there any other way around stopping the catabolic state? And there is. You see, there's various types of proteins, there's various types of carbohydrates. So what I would recommend somebody that wants to stop that state and not be able to feed within 8 hours is go ahead and feed cottage cheese and oatmeal. Oatmeal is a complex carbohydrate. Takes the body about, 7 hours to be able to clear it, right? So that kind of keeps the blood sugar levels to where it's signaling to the rest of the body, hey, and to the growth hormone, hey, we have enough sugar in the blood, you can continue building, right? It is when that state of the blood sugar coming down that the signal is then reversed and the body goes to breakdown and conserving mode, right? And that's the catabolic state. The other reason that the other thing that I said for you to feed is cottage cheese, and that's because cottage cheese is the densest form of casein protein. And casein protein, guys, this is not rocket science. If you don't believe me, look up what bodybuilders eat, right? Casein protein is a complex protein, which takes the body a lot of time to process, just like the oatmeal. Here's the added bonus of casein protein. If your dog ever did go into catabolic state, casein protein, or muscle, better yet, muscle fibers that have been made out of casein protein have shown to be resistant to the being consumed when the body goes into the catabolic state. So it's spared. It's kind of like when the body is going into that catabolic state, it sees the fiber made from that particular protein and it just goes to another. So cottage cheese, man, anybody that has been into bodybuilding could talk to you about it. Here's another kicker. That same cottage cheese and oatmeal, you can add it to them on that second meal that you're giving them, right? So, or even better, if you're going to feed them, say, at 6 p.m, right before you go to bed, especially if you have dogs inside of your home, before you go to bed, say 9, 10 o'clock at night, give them 1 or 2 scoops of cottage cheese, depending how big your dog is, and watch what happens. Watch what happens. All of a sudden, the dog never goes into catabolic state, and all he does is he remains in anabolic state. Now, with that being said, you need to be careful what you're feeding, because if you keep your dog in an anabolic state and you're just feeding garbage to the dog or overfeeding the dog, rather than making the dog sustain or grow muscle, what it's going to cause is your dog is going to gain weight and it's going to become heavy, right? So it's twofold. It could go either way. Anything you want to add to that, Gary?
Yeah, I see a lot of guys want to go like super heavy on the protein. They try to find a food that has like 30% protein and 30% fat and stuff like that and feed it to the puppies. And a lot of times it hurts them more than helps them a lot of times.
Sorry, man. I don't know if it was you or me, but you came in very, very choppy, man. You came in very, very choppy. Is it me, Hollywood, or is it him? It's me?
Yeah, you a second ago.
Okay, so I'm the choppy guy, man. My bad, guys. My bad. I call it, I can only call it as I see it, man. Michael Higginson is asking, how do you feel about Acana? Guys, I have done product reviews on Acana. It is kind of like Origin's little brother. I have never really tried it, guys. I can only really tell you about the stuff I tried. Have you ever tried Acana, Gary?
No, sir. I heard of it, but I never tried it before.
What you got, Hollywood?
You're coming in really choppy and we can't hear you. Just letting you know.
Okay. Let me go ahead and push. Whoa, let me go ahead and push you back. And I apologize, guys. As we speak, I'm going ahead and running a speed test. And okay, so my internet is not working too well. So if you give me a second, I'm gonna go ahead and jump off, and I'll be right back on. Hollywood, I'm gonna leave you and Gary to make it happen for me.
You got it. All right, Gary, what are we talking about? We're going to take over the show. Raul done put me in charge. He done messed up.
You got
no,
it.
but I've used Origin, man, personally, and I know about the other one Michael's talking about, and I've used their dog patties as a little extra additive on top of the food because it's cheaper than Origin's dog patties. Because I got a pup that is very picky in the way she eats, so I got to put some of those little patties on top. And Origin, it was getting too expensive. I love Origin stuff, but $40 for those patties versus the Acana $20. I was like, man, I can't beat that if it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
The only thing I did.
How am I coming in now?
Perfect, man. You look great.
Okay.
Just
Excellent.
one more thought. I will say the Akeda, I did look at it versus the Origin. The Origin had a lot more real meat, like 5 or 6 before it even hit anything else, where versus the other one only has 1 or 2 before it gets into meat meals. So that's my only sense on it. You good
All right,
now?
man. I appreciate you, bro. Real quick, man, we got Good Brothers Kennels saying we use wholesome whitefish. Good for you, man. He says we mix ground beef in with it. And yes, our dogs are on Nuvet. Laugh out loud, but any input or advice on our diet? Actually, bro, and again, you guys know I'm not a kibble guy, right? I have had some good results with wholesome whitefish. I can't believe I'm saying it, but I'm saying it. I haven't had a dog come in with any type of allergy or showing anything negative. In fact, I'm seeing slow growth with it, which is something that tickles my fancy. The fact that you're adding beef to it, to me, is almost unnecessary, because you're just adding extra protein. Sometimes people get the thought that, well, wolves in the wild, all they eat is protein, and that's not necessarily true. Um, a wolf in the wild, when he catches, say, I don't know, a pheasant, right? He is not only eating protein, he's eating bone, he's eating fat, he's eating whatever grains that pheasant has in its stomach. And therefore, overfeeding protein to dogs, what I have found is that their soft tissues, right? Their pasterns, their ligaments, their tendons, their cartilage become soft. It's not soft. Soft is not the correct term. They become weak. Gary, have you come across that using too high protein actually weakens the pasterns?
Yeah, I've seen it, and it was, saying, rookie mistakes of mine, I guess, back in the day, listening to other people and trying to find the highest protein food and stuff like that. So yeah, I definitely seen it, but I say I maybe seen it worse with other people trying it, and I'm saying, like, they not only just high protein, but actually just overfeeding the dog and just making the dog just a fat dog.
Right.
And yeah.
Right. I'll tell you what, man. I am one that believes that protein does serve a purpose. I mean, of course it does. But the way that I use protein is, if I have a dog that's getting a little too heavy and I want them to slim down, then I'm going to use, I'm going to be using the cottage cheese, and I'm probably going to be using beef purposefully in order to have a high protein content, because protein and fat with the absence of carbohydrate does make them anabolic. But if you give it to them at a reduced amount, what's going to happen is they're going to slim down. It's almost like the muscles are going to pop and all that. But you got to know how to do it, man. I've seen people that are taking dogs into a ring, and they'll put the dogs on that type of diet for about 10 days before the dog goes in the ring. The thing is that when you overproteinate the dog and you're not giving him enough carbohydrates for 10 days, I think 10 days is too long. The way I would go around doing it is I beef him up, right? Beef him up for about a good 2 or 3 weeks. And then for about 5 or 6 days, you want to just put them on nothing but fat and protein with a limited amount of calories coming in. And that dog is just going to flourish when it goes in the ring. Again, that's just me and what I've experienced.
How do you,
Malik,
can I
go
say
ahead,
something?
buddy.
How do you, when you feed them the oatmeal, do
Yes.
you use like just raw oatmeal, or are
Raw.
you cooking it? Okay.
No, raw oatmeal. The oatmeal. Whenever I could give a product that is raw, I do. Obviously, I can't give them raw rice, right? Because you can't chew it. It's a problem. But oatmeal, I can get away with giving him a completely raw, which leads me to this comment by G-Line. He says he gives mixed rice with kibble, and I feed chicken, Nuvet, and canned vegetables. I think what you're doing is great, but I would never feed canned vegetables. The amount of salt and preservatives that are in there are going to be counterproducent to everything else that you're giving them. Yeah, frozen vegetables is the way to go, man. Frozen or fresh.
That's berries from Costco too. They come in like a 10-pound bag for like $10 or something like that of berries, and yep.
Yeah, man. Get yourself a mix like that. But to just sit there and give them canned vegetables, bro, salt, wherever salt goes, water follows. So if you want to add a good, I don't know, on a 100-pound dog, if you want to add an extra 8 pounds of water, go ahead and feed him canned vegetables over a month and watch what's about to happen. And that's not going to make the dog look better, guys. In fact, it's going to make his body have to work harder.
You still want to see that tuck.
Yeah, you want to be able to see the tuck. That's definitely the point. Adam Fields is saying that he fasts his dogs once a week. Just pick a day and start doing it. Watch your dogs and adjust as necessary. I agree. If I was feeding kibble full time, which that's what we're just doing now, I would definitely fast my dogs once a week. I was fasting my dogs once a week on raw, but definitely on kibble just to allow them to kind of clean themselves out. Let me see here real quick, man.
Think about, do you ever use yogurt, like on your pregnant females?
Yes, I use lactose products. So cottage cheese. I always go cottage cheese, and rather than yogurt, I usually do sour cream. That's just my preference. I know yogurt, plain yogurt, and kefir is good. If it could even be considered better, but my go-tos are always cottage cheese because of the density. And what people need to know is that when a female is pregnant, right, when you feed her products, milk products, it's easier for her body to convert that protein into milk, and she'll be able to make milk at not only a more consistent rate, but also with maybe even a little bit more density. So those are my go-tos.
That I mean, she was producing so much milk off the yogurt. Like if she sit down or lay down, and when she go to stand up, it's milk all over the place. Like, yeah. Wow.
And you're feeding Oxy Mama, which, by the way, guys, I recommend Oxy Mama. That's one excellent product. And what are you feeding her right now?
The Costco brand, sardines, and all the regular little mix that I do. Blueberry.
Okay. Excellent stuff, bro. The sardines people don't know this, but sardines are great for omega-3s and omega-6.
But some of those companies, like, I just don't really trust a lot of those companies with the salmon oil. You know what I'm saying? The prices are just too different. Like, you know what I'm saying? The same amount. This one's $10. This one's $40. Like,
wow, that big.
I mean, like what's going on?
Yeah, that big of a difference. Look, let me tell you guys something. I just went to my local Walmart here, I want to say about 10 days ago, somewhere around there. And I just took a look at sardines, a little can that brings like 2 little sardines in it. It was going for like 73 cents a can. Very affordable if you think about it, man. Dang. In fact, feeding the whole 2 sardines to a 100-pound dog, that sounds about right. But my pups are not 100 pounds. They're somewhere around 50. So, I mean, I'm not trying to be cheap, but I'm just giving you an insight of how you can make it very inexpensive. You can literally grab this 2 sardines, cut them in half, and now you have enough for 4 pups easily. Yeah, exactly. And you're still getting the same benefit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Let's see. We got Inserata saying, yeah, I had to cut back on the amount of meat and eggs due to high prices, so I have been adding sardines and hamburger. Yeah, definitely, man. The prices have definitely gone up. You guys know that me feeding raw, I always would go to Walmart and get a 10-pound bag of chicken quarters for $4.72. Right now, that bag is at $5.72, but for a minute it went up to $6.72. People say, well, what's the big deal? Well, the big deal is when you start multiplying how many dogs you're feeding and you start multiplying about 365 days in a year, it makes a difference, right? That's all. Learning here every day. Freddie Stravia, thank you so much. Echo says service is horrible out here. We're in a storm. I caught a little bit of the raw egg and shell. Sorry, man. I guess. I mean, I'm not in the middle of a storm, but my service was kind of wacky there for a second. Malachi says, do you guys put any weight markers on your pups by months? I don't. Do you, Gary?
No, I let them go. I mean, I'll weigh them and, you know what I'm saying, double check, see what's going on. But yeah, I let them go. Most of the time I can see the change.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I usually look at the rib cage.
Yeah.
If I see individual ribs, your body, we got to put some weight on you. If I'm able to see a rack of ribs with the slight individual ribs, you're still low on weight. If I see the rack of ribs, you're good. If I don't see ribs, yeah, we're gonna have to scale you down a little bit, right? Let's see, man. Young dogs and sugar really messes with growth. Yes, Echo, absolutely. But if you know how to do it, like say, for example, when I was explaining the whole oatmeal is a complex carbohydrate that's not going to spike the sugar up too high, but it keeps it just high enough to keep that IGF, that growth hormone in check. If you know how to manage that and you keep your dogs lightweight till about a year and a half, you'd be surprised with the results, man. That's all I'm going to say. Let me see, man. We got Infamous saying, what do y'all think about those dog foods where you just add water to it? I know Bully Max and Honest Kitchen have something like that. I've never tried it myself. Have you, Gary?
I never add water to my kibble. I just, I mean, most of the bags of kibble going to tell you, make sure the dog has plenty of water and stuff like that. Or some of them go to, yeah, add the water to it. But I just make sure that my dogs just have plenty of water around and they can get it whenever they need to, really.
Yeah. I'm not against it, guys. I just haven't tried it. I kind of want to get back to barf diet with my dogs. And speaking of barf, let's talk a little bit about the percentages. Before I do, let me answer this. Also, if you're keeping them anabolic, you have to exercise them or you're not going to gain muscle. He's absolutely right. Another thing, you don't have to kill the dog in order to gain muscle if they're anabolic, guys. Get yourself a flirt pole. Mm-hmm. Do about 8 to 10 minutes worth of strong flirt pole training. If you don't have mounds like I do where you're at, go to a park, go to one of them benches and have the dog go up and down that damn bench over and over again. You'd be surprised, man, how fast you're going to be able to put muscle on your dog. Insaratha is saying Anuk Marine 25 fish base is good, but expensive for more than a couple of dogs. Yeah. The gentleman that sold my girl Sunshine to me, this girl right here, he had her on Anuk 25 when I first got her. And I will tell you, I was very impressed with their coats, their weight, their structure, all the pups that I got that were on Anuk 25. So even though I haven't tried it, I want to say I've seen some good results from it. Infamous says, what do y'all think about? Okay, we spoke about that. Okay, Joshua Galashaw. Okay, he feeds his dog fish as well. Let's see. G-Line says, let me go there. G-Line says, I have a few friends with overweight dogs. They waddle when they walk. Yeah, man. You don't ever want to get to that point. where the dog is overweight. Like I said, it's real simple. Instead of feeding complex anything, you just go to simple carbohydrates, simple proteins, and you can make the dog lose weight and still look good, man. Oh, what's going on, George Barron? Appreciate you, man. Thanks for joining us, man. Fresh or frozen vegetables and fruit. I say that either works. Just make sure you thaw out the vegetables and fruits before you give them to the dog frozen. Unless it's a hot day, then hey, it'd be a nice little treat to throw it in their direction. Let's see. Inserata says my dogs liked cooked veggies better than raw. They love cooked Brussels sprouts or green beans with no salt. Yeah, actually, the staple of vegetables that I always fed my dogs was green beans, and raw carrots. It does great for their teeth, along with just oregano. We like to pour a little oregano on there, and definitely on occasion or not occasion. My go-to fruit is apple. I will switch to blueberries so they could have that that extra antioxidant. But my go-to fruit has always been apples. So my dogs are. What's your go-to fruit there, Gary?
Blueberries. Always go to the blueberries.
Yeah. No, definitely, bro. I think blueberries are excellent. I like blueberries myself, and my dogs, they get it. They just I switch them off and on from apple to blueberry, so we don't double up on the sugars, on the simple sugars. Adam Fields is saying kefir is way better, especially if it's homemade from unpasteurized milk. Again, no, the cows you're getting it from. Yeah, definitely, bro. The more natural you get things, the better. I think the better results you're going to get. Echo says, and for rice, cooked rice should always be a day old. Cooked rice, it lowers the sugar. Huh? How's that, Echo? Cooked rice becomes carbohydrates, so it's actually a simple sugar, but I like to get your logic behind that statement. So, okay, so he's saying, and that's a rice tip for anybody that's diabetic. Do you want to eat white rice? Cook it, put it in the fridge, reheat it the next day. Okay, I get you. So when you reheat it the next day, you're saying there's some sort of change where it doesn't give you that high of a sugar spike. I guess that's what you're trying to say. Yeah, build an A-frame. Adam Fields is saying 8 to 10 minutes of a fur pull is as little as you need, a little much until the bone plates have sealed and they're worked up. Yeah, I agree, man. Also, let's talk about barf diet here real quick. Have you ever fed barf diet to your dogs, Gary?
No, sir.
Okay, let me go over the barf diet percentages. For those of you that are looking to feed raw. Now, barf diet percentages are broken down into 70% muscle. You have 10% of edible bone. Yes, bone, guys. Vegetables, 7%. Liver should make up about 5%. Other secreting organs, like, say, beef kidney, should make up another 5%. Then you have seeds or nuts, about 2%, and 1% fruit. I will say, if you follow this to the T, you're going to notice right away your dog is going to lose weight pretty quickly. So you're going to have to increment. However, there are online barf diet calculators you can get. So based on your dog's weight, it's going to tell you how much you're going to feed. I've had people call me up and say, Raul, but it says I got to feed my dog, crazy amount, 4 pounds of meat. And then I tell them, yeah, but realize 70% of that meat is water. Then the light bulb goes off, right? So always keep that in mind. The reasons that these calculators are going to tell you to feed so much more is because of the water content that is in raw food, guys. Keep that in mind. Man, that's pretty much all I got for y'all tonight. Gary, is there anything else you want to throw at them, man?
Don't overfeed them puppies.
What happens when you overfeed them?
You can have all types of hip issues, joint issues. Yeah, you can say easty westies. Yeah, I mean, might even make a lazy pup out of it. I don't know. I mean, just want to lay around today, waiting for that bowl to drop.
Absolutely. You bring in all those orthopedic issues. The one thing I do want to bring up to you guys is I do supplement my dogs with Nuvet Plus and also NuJoint DS. And the reason that I do that is so that my dogs don't get all that crappy stuff people are putting into animals so they could grow faster. If you notice on this page I'm showing you guys right now, my boy Fireball, when I got him, he had straight feet. And by the time he was 20 weeks old, I had him on kibble and I was beginning to ruin him. He was beginning to go easty-westy on me. I made a change. Now, I didn't feed him the Nuvet and NuJoint DS. I didn't even know it existed at the time. But I was actually making the changes or feeding the ingredients that is actually inside of Nuvet and NuJoint DS. In a matter of 2 or 3 months, you could see the difference. Years later, you could see why it is we call this dude Free Stack Freak, or even at times Mr. Perfect. He's very correct up front. And I couldn't thank Nuvet and NuJoint DS anymore for this. You could always order Nuvet. All you got to do is go to nuvet.com. Our ordering code is 513237. You can't buy it without an ordering code. If you forget what the ordering code is or you forget what the website is, all you need to do is go down to the descriptions below. We have a link. Click on it. Place your order. I will also tell you this. If you do auto ship, you're going to save 13%. So if you order Nuvet and you order NuJoint DS, right? Auto ship, you're going to save 13%, and automatically your name is going to be emailed to me, and you're going to have 2 free consults with me, man. 2 15-minute consults. We could either put them together and make it into one big half hour or 2 15-minute consults. It doesn't matter to me. But that's just a benefit that I'm offering you. But either way, guys, let me bring my dude from the back, Hollywood. Start us off, brother? My man.
Hey,
Start us
real
off.
quick, I wanted to say with the oatmeal, just so nobody gets confused, do you use that Quaker plain oatmeal? And there's 2 different types. There's the quick oats, and then there's the regular oatmeal. It's just the regular oatmeal.
I use the regular, what is it, steel cut? That the cheap
brand. Just a regular. Do not give your dog strawberry flavored with all the sugar packs.
Exactly.
Just regular oatmeal.
Echo, by the way, is clarifying what we had talked about before. He says, yes, the cooling and reheating breaks down the complex carbohydrates, making them easier to digest. It also helps with gastrointestinal discomfort, such as bloating and gas that sometimes comes with it. So if you have a dog that's letting you have it, there you go, man. Make sure to cool it and then heat it, man. Go ahead, Hollywood. Start us out, man.
It's your boy Hollywood Holland, your boy in the back of the queue, and we're catching you on the next one.
Gary Pope from King Pope Kennels.
Gary Pope with King Pope Kennels. Appreciate y'all for having me on again. Catch y'all on the next one.
Guys, you already know, man. We dropping the info. I'm debating as to whether I'll be dropping the results of the whole kibble thing next week or the week after because of the changes I had to make. Make sure to stay tuned. We're going to be dropping videos for you, and we're here every Monday at 7 p.m. CST. It's been Raul from the Q, catching you on the next one.